You're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod. Enjoy the ride.
Hello and welcome to the 221st episode of the Slow Ride Podcast. This is 2018 Schwamigan winner Tim, the Super Rookie Hayes in Orlando, Florida.
Hey, this is Daddy Shark Matt Allen in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
And this is Spencer in Boston, Massachusetts.
So I know you guys are just waiting for me
Yeah.
just to let's just get straight to it. But I have right here in front of me a ticket.
Yes.
Because I got to London last week and I got out of the train station and I was like, I can see the future. I am on a high. I am on an unprecedented run of events. I am going to keep this hot luck going. Not only did I destroy you guys in Schwamigan, I know for a fact that Alejandro Valverde is going to win the World Championships in Innsbruck.
Uh-huh.
And I went in, and as they say in the parlance, when I walked into the Ladbrokes gambling center, I put a $5 on Valverde. Now, I must admit, I kind of messed up because I emailed you guys what do you guys want to put money on? But I didn't get it in time, and I could never go back to put your bets down.
Yeah. Mine didn't pan out.
But I kind of wanted to put 5 on Rusty Woods at 55-1.
Good.
But anyways, Alejandro Valverde. They were 4-1 when I bought. 4-1.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So Valverde takes the win. He was the favorite along with Alaphilippe.
Bookies really nailed that one. 4-1 was actually what it was there for the last kilometer of the race even.
Yep, that's what they meant.
That's right. Okay, so let's get into it. Innsbruck, Austria, beautiful venue. One heck of a climb that they went up, I believe, 7 times. And then a finishing climb that featured a 28% gradient before roughly 5K to go descent.
Something like that, and like 2 flat Ks at the bottom or something. Yeah, something like that.
The final, slowly whittled down. Everything got down to Valverde, Woods, Moscone, Dumoulin. Who else was there?
Kind of almost there. No, just those guys in Bardet.
And then there's that Koenig guy from UK who put in a heck of an attack.
Yeah, but that was 16th earlier.
Place. He got 16th place.
Yeah, it's true. We shouldn't go too far before we mention that. The whole race is great, but I think, and the win for Valverde is good, but the best part of the race is when Woods puts in a dig and gets rid of Moscone. That, to me, was the best
MVP.
part of the whole race. Like, I know he got third, which is a great result, and he didn't get the win, but that was the biggest victory for the race for me, because I was worried at that point.
I will say, I was a little shocked at how many people worldwide do not want Moscone to win that race. It was unprecedented. Universal. Yeah. I was a little shocked. I thought maybe it was just in our own little universe of rational thinking individuals, but there's a lot of people that don't like that guy for very good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good reason, so that's heartwarming,
So, Valverde takes the sprint, not leading from the front, not even really challenged. But anyways, what a wonderful thing. And he had the beard.
Challenge. You're making it sound like they didn't try.
Little guy, there's no way he was going to lose that.
It was a great race.
And it's one hell of a capstone to a remarkable career.
I don't know.
The haters are already coming out. The Green Needle, calling him all these different names.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if there's one individual that can carry on what Peter Sagan was able to accomplish with 3 years straight of wearing the World Championship jersey, it's Valverde. That World Championship jersey is going to be on the front of several races, always in the top 15, always just crushing it. And it's going to be a thing of beauty next year, and I can't wait for it.
I agree. I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
Anyway, the curse doesn't get him. I really hope he goes back and does like Flanders this year.
Are you suggesting that maybe my guarantee that he wins, like maybe I'm counting my chickens too soon? Is that what you're suggesting there?
No, I was. You're giving yourself a lot of credit for curses, and I know you have a pretty powerful curse, but there's the curse of the rainbow jersey that pre-Sagan was a pretty powerful curse. He seems to have gotten rid of that, and he did personally go up onto the stage to congratulate Valverde. So maybe he also transferred the good vibes.
Is that
karma?
Is that like the start of a new tradition? Are we like watching the Masters golf tournament, right? Where the previous year's winner gives away the green jacket, and now Valverde next year will be handing it over to Sagan again?
I kind of hope so. I liked it. I mean, it does feel like a thing that maybe only Sagan can pull off, because he can not do a good race at all and still be one of the bigger stars in the race.
This is pretty much a 1-year rental for Valverde, right? Like this is,
okay. Really, his career's been a 1-year rental for probably the last 5 years, right? Like every year you're like, he's done, and then he comes back the next year, and you're like, well, it's a sympathy year, okay, and then he crushes it, and you're like, okay, well, he's done this year for sure, and then he comes back and he crushes it, and I don't know, man. You just gotta respect that. So,
before we get into women's races at the World Championships, can we talk a little bit quickly about the kits? I mean, I always like seeing the World Championship kits and what we've got, but can someone tell me, I know it was brought up on Twitter, why Canada has blue on their jersey? They have arguably the greatest flag in all of the world.
Yeah.
And just red and white. Like, man, it would have been great to see Michael Woods take the win, but a little bit less so with that ugly jersey he was forced to be able to wear. And I got to admit, I kind of wanted Woods to, like, Valverde was a shoo-in. Like, we all wanted that. But, man, after listening to, like, these interviews with Michael Woods after his, like, win at the Vuelta, like, the VO2 Max, I kind of wanted Woods to take the championship.
Right. I was comfortable with any of those guys winning. Like, that was a great move, because I was like, I like all these riders, and I would love to see them all. Even in Dumoulin, too. I mean, any one of those guys would have won, and I would have been... Like, that's the joy. I think the best thing about cycling is that you can get to that point in a race where it's great to watch, but you like every guy. You know?
Now, Tim, I want to circle back to what you were saying about the kits, because you got away with some audacious sentiment there, like calling out Canada's kit when we just all saw Valverde on the top step of that podium in that Spanish kit, because that thing is maybe the worst thing I've laid eyes on.
But is it one of these things where it's so bad?
No, it's not.
No.
It's got a little lamprey in it, just the right amount of. It's
got a little bit of Ronald McDonald in it, and that's about it.
Not. You know what they need to do?
Years, though.
Do you know what they need to do, Spencer? They need to get the Spanish Cycling Federation needs to get a sponsorship with 2004 time, so they can have those old time shoes, the red and yellow.
Also, 1998, Tim. Like you are subtracting a decade out somewhere.
So 2008 was probably when I bought them at the bike swap, or as they say in what do they call it in the UK again? The bike
jumble.
The bike jumble. The bike jumble. But those are pretty bad.
They're beyond bad. They're awful. They're the worst. They were the worst thing in the peloton. And let me just say, that's impressive, because there are some countries that have historically done a pretty poor job with kits, and Spain is one of those powerhouse countries that they pay attention to it. It's going to be on the front page of the paper. It's not like Ireland, where they have the one token Irish guy in the race.
No, they had two in the break. Then they both dropped out. I mean, it was amazing.
Historically, always just the one random Irish guy.
A lot of riders.
Can we talk? Okay, what do you guys think of the Italian kit with like the big Suzuki sponsorship? I kind of liked it in the weird, like, is that a national championship kit or are they the team leaders in the team competition kit? Like, it looked just a little retroactive.
It harkened to the small third tier Italian team enough that like I did kind of appreciate that like aesthetic. But again, talking about teams with blue on their kit that had no business having blue on their kits, like. That's a thing.
I think they have a reason. There's some sort of reason with the royal thing.
They're the Azuri.
I'm sure Canada does too. I just don't know what it is because nobody pays attention to Canada. I'm sorry, Canada, but it's true.
I think when in doubt, put blue on your kit.
Yeah.
Top place American, 63rd place, Brent Bookwalter, sorry. Just right behind friend of the pod, Tom Skunes of Latvia in 62nd place. I mean, overall, I think the biggest disappointment I had was that Roglic kind of just disappeared. I know he had a crash. I know, and it looked like he was maybe going to get back on.
He was there for a while. It looked like he cramped up and just lost that group.
I mean, every time they showed that ski jump on the top of the mountain, you know that they were like, "Oh man, Roglic, he's coming home." You know, like there's so many stories that could be written in like the mass media. Yeah. Like USA Today would be like, what am I kidding? They're not.
We've also glossed over in the finale here the ride by Michael Valgren, who I know is a little guy favorite.
Yes.
Yeah,
that was impressive.
Yeah, that was a
that's a good looking kit. That's a good looking kit.
The Danes, they did it right.
Danes always get it right.
Yeah, that was an impressive ride. I mean, I thought it would go the way it did. He got caught on that last climb. It was too much, but that took some gumption.
It did.
To jump away before that big hill and try to solo.
For sure.
I like that dude. He's nothing.
Hung on to 7th place.
Yeah, I know. He is. I mean, he had a great season, obviously, and people know about him. But he is gonna be a force in the next.
People do know about him, but like I had forgotten about him. You know what I mean? Like I just like if you had mentioned his name, I'd remember him. But thinking about this race, I didn't. He didn't pop into my brain space about Worlds. Yeah. And the second he got off the front with 10 or 15K to go, I was like, uh-oh. That's a dark horse I didn't think about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably what went through some of the teams, too, where they were like, who's that? And somebody said Valgren, and they're like, oh.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Forgot about that guy. I mean, I don't think about him climbing that way either, but he's been up there in Amstel and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
I do love the lack of race radios in these races. Just bring just a little bit of chaos. The thing that sticks out to me the most was GVA Van Avermaet went for an attack early, and he had that Fraley gentleman from Spain. Yep. I'm trying to think who else was with him, but Fraley was not pulling through, and he was, and it was like I don't know, man. Like I understand you have team orders for Valverde, but this could have been like This could have been the moment.
Yeah, your time to shine.
Yeah, but he can't take
your time to shine.
No, he's a better climber than GVA. What's he gonna do? Pull GVA to the line and get out sprinted? Yeah.
Well, I think that. Yeah. I think I would have maybe worked just a little bit with him, just a little bit to maybe tire GVA out a little bit more. Like maybe go pull a couple like 3 or 4 times so you get like a maybe 40-second gap and then start sitting on the back. It just seemed really. I don't know. It would have made racing a little bit more exciting, but
yeah, I guess. All in all, I thought it was a good race. Worlds are always one of my favorite races of the year. So.
Let's swerve over into the women's race because I did not have the opportunity to watch all of it, but I do want to point out, as Spencer, you did on the Slow Ride Pod Twitter account, was American road racing legend Megan Garnier goes out on top with a 16th place finish. So that was really cool to see.
It was ideal. It was perfect.
Now, and then the top 3, you have Anna van den Bergen, winner of the Olympic road race, taking the World Championships. Amanda Spratt of Australia 2nd, and then Tatiana Guzzero of Italy in 3rd place.
I think you needed a longer pause there between Anna van der Bergen and then announcing 2nd place and 3rd place.
Yes.
Because...
Yeah, like maybe a good solid 3.5 minutes.
Yeah. It was for all the worry and talk about the Dutch team and would they work together. I don't know if it even would have mattered because Van der Breggen was head and shoulders above everyone in that race. No. And I know people are going to say Van Vleuten broke her knee during the race and still finished 7th. That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
But, you know.
It's pretty good. I've done better, but it's pretty good.
Now, the big disappointment on our end was that world champion Lisa Klein from the Trade Team Time Trial World Championship had to drop out before the race even started due to illness.
Little too much partying after the victory, maybe.
After getting the stripes. But
I thought it was a bike problem.
Were you guys able to watch? Like, can you tell me a little bit about how Van der Breggen put on such a show? I mean, what's the...
Yeah.
Like, we were all assuming Van Vleuten was going to win.
We were.
I open up the papers. I see Van der Breggen.
Well, Van Vleuten, as I mentioned, was held up in a crash. A pretty nasty looking crash. It took down a bunch of folks in the field. They hit some traffic furniture in the middle of the road that the peloton didn't quite swerve around in time. Kind of took out a bunch of people in the middle of the pack. And I guess, she broke her knee during that and rode the rest of the last 90K and finished 7th. So can't imagine having to do that. But Corinne Rivera went off the front pretty early on, like 50, 60K, something like that to go, which had a lot of people talking like, whoa, what's going on here? And she looked really good for a while. But eventually...
Was she by herself?
She was solo for a long time. Eventually, she picked up some other riders and stuff, but it looked good. Like it was a respectable move, but eventually brought back.
Didn't she do that last year?
I don't remember.
I think I tend to recall that she's tried the brakes before a couple times.
It's definitely not the sprinters course, So you saw Van Avermaet, you saw Corinne Rivera, like these sprinters trying something else, which is great. Like I like to see that, they're not just like riding it to ride it and whatever.
And then dropping out after 4 laps.
Exactly. Yeah. Like giving it their all, going for it, you never know. But yeah, when Van der Breggen finally threw down, Amanda Spratt was able to go with her. And those were 2 of the big favorites outside of Van Vleuten. So you knew it was game on when she went, and she eventually dropped Amanda Spratt, who held on for 2nd, and that's just kind of how it played out. It exploded with 40K to go.
Okay. Well, congratulations to them. Do you have any lasting thoughts beyond, like, I feel that we've been big fans of Valverde for a while, right? And I feel that it's a stance that we always have to defend to a level of like, right? Like, I think that there's just a lot of folks, like we see it on the Facebook, the Slow Ride Podcast experience zone that we've got, where like people will leave comments about like, oh, anybody but Valverde. And it's just like, is it totally a ridiculous love that we have for this guy, that we want him to do well? Like, how do we explain this to the new listeners here? Because after that Australian bump, I mean, people are going to be like, well, they could be turning us off right now, but going like Valverde, and it's just such a, muddy waters to navigate, I guess.
It's, poets have written for ages about love, and no one's really ever nailed it down, Tim. I don't know if we're going to be able to really suss it out.
Let's give it a shot. No, I think it's so hard to describe because, you're like, he's obviously got this asterisk next to his name, Operation Porto. He served a ban. He came back. You're right to be suspicious of the guy. But at the same time, you're like, well, it was a long time ago. Well, he obviously served his time. Like there's those 2 sides of the argument, right? And then there's he's 38 years old. This is incredible. And he's been on the podium so many times, so consistently. Like, this is great. Like, there's so many different angles to look at it. And whether you love him or hate him, I don't know. It's tough to hate the way that he races. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
he makes the racing really
He does, and he gives it in every race, like you were saying before. Like, it doesn't matter if it's the Tour of Abu Dhabi or Worlds. Like, he is going for it if he's there, and it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, There's a cloud of suspicion for sure, and it's because he comes out of an era where basically everybody deserved it, and whether they do or not now is still up for debate, I guess. But
it's
people still do. Somebody got popped per EPO like a week
ago. I mean, I'm trying to be politically correct here, but they apparently definitely part of the peloton still partakes. But I think it's obviously a lot less than it used to be. I don't know Valverde. I can't say one way or the other, whatever. But testing being what it is and the entertainment value being what it is, I think that's what we have to. That's just what we have to accept as cycling fans. Is like they're doing the best they can, whether or not it's properly funded or whatever else. Like that's the rules we have to play with, or the boundaries we have to play within. Is like if we catch them, we will. If we haven't, well, then let them race. So,
little guy, what do you have to say about Valverde that Spencer did not just touch off on so eloquently, like Robert Frost?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm with you. If he's still doping consistently, he is the greatest doper of all time because he's got a system. If that's the case, he's got a microdosing system that nobody else has.
Is this like a system he's going to sell like later? on HLN? Like he's going to be on the Home Shot Network? Yeah. I got a system for you.
I mean, if that's the case alone, we should give him a little love because it's impressive. I don't know. It's cycling. You got to suspend a little bit of belief. To really sit back and enjoy.
And we've touched on this before. I think that just to reiterate, if he was in the same shoe, if he was an English-speaking athlete of the level of some of the other athletes that have come back from similar doping offenses, he would be, I believe, treated at such a high esteem. Like, oh, it's in the past. But for American and English cycling media, it's kind of it's the complete other, and it's just something that they can't accept. And I feel there's that bias in there without a doubt, and to me that's some major frustration.
Well, and a lot of people are critical because he never really accepted any blame, which is completely legitimate. A lot of people were like, "Yeah, I did it. I'll take my 2 years. Okay, bye." And he was just like, I never did anything wrong. And
so that's how I became a Scarponi fan, man, because he was the guy in Puerto who was like, yep. Not that, there weren't some question marks after that, but, I don't know.
So he started in 2002 with Calme Costa Blanca.
Yep. Dirty.
Well, but some of the best looking kits of all time. The vertical stripe. Green kind of gradient to blue.
That's questionable. It's so good it's bad, or bad it's good, or whatever. But yeah, sure.
So little guy.
Yep.
Who was the team lead? Who were the team leaders of Kelme in 2002?
Probably Botero was on the team, and
Botero.
Yeah,
Botero. No,
was Escartin not on
the other one is Sevilla. Oscar Sevilla.
Yeah. He's still riding.
Is he still riding too?
He's riding for a Colombian team. He got his bike stolen when he's out training like a month ago. Something like that.
Well, it is quite the time to be alive. I was able to watch that on NBC Sports Gold Network.
That's what everybody said awesome. When it happened.
I think that the Twitter started blowing up. We didn't even get into the whole betting.
Yeah, where are you going to spend all this cash? Like, I imagine the $5 you put down on him probably pays out at least 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 pounds.
I've got a little bit of an issue. Now, I know this isn't a high-def camera that you guys can see, but I kept this receipt in my wallet. Maybe the humidity, maybe just the Costanza wallet of keeping all my receipts from my travels. The ink has started to go a little bit. So I'm thinking, I gotta keep this in a climate neutral setting.
You don't have like an old baseball card you can take out and throw away and stick it in.
Nice. So I bet £5. I'm gonna get 25 pounds.
How long do you have to redeem this? When is your next business trip?
Well, that's the question. So there is not any type of terms and conditions on the back, and then any type of writing on the front is so faded that I can't read it. So I'm sure that these are real stand-up individuals at a sports book that they're going to walk me through the whole process to.
They love to when get Americans come in with shoddy wallet-stained receipts.
Yeah.
They're just like, please. Maybe you can mail it to one of our UK listeners.
So good. I should be able to, but when I went into the Ladbrokes there, they have a big computer screen. It's all touch. Mm-hmm. It was very, very difficult to find the Cycling World Championships, even though it was on like the next day. They had American football. They had the weather. They had so many things that I could bet on. And then, they didn't have the weather, but they had basically the entire kitchen sink. And
I agree. It's true.
I had to type in UCI, and when I typed in UCI, like something came up with like the Buick Open or something. Like there was, I don't even remember, but it was something like where the letters UCI were first, and then I was like, oh my gosh, so it wasn't Buick Open, but it was very similar. Mm-hmm. It was pretty funny, but I did find it that the odds were long across the board. The Michael Woods definitely was getting some interest when I saw that, because I was like, ooh, Mr. VO2 Max is going to crush it.
God.
He did.
But he did, but he's still not as good as Steve Bauer. And so he's going to have to go back next year and just crush it. Do you like that? Name from the past. There you go.
Yeah.
The beauty of him just riding Moscon until he just broke. Just
that is so good.
The crumbled in front of the camera was just a thing of beauty that I'm never going to forget.
It was.
I think Mitch Dockers probably still listening at this point of the pod. He hasn't turned us off just yet. Mitch, next time you see Mr. VO2 Max, give him a big hearty handshake from the guys at the Slow Ride Pod for dropping Moscone. Yeah. Oh man.
One last thing about Worlds before we move on is the guy who won Junior Worlds. He won both the time trial by a couple minutes, and then he crashed in the junior men's race and was like a couple minutes back, and like went back, caught up, and soloed. Basically, he rides like a Dutch woman. He's so good.
Yeah.
And he's ridiculous. So he's junior. He's only been cycling for like a year and a half or something. And he's turning pro with Quick Step next year.
This is the Remco Evan
This
pole?
kid is ridiculous. So anyway, turning pro with Quick Step next year. We got to keep our eyes on this boy.
Okay.
He absolutely crushed that junior race with having like a bunch of problems. Also, if you go back and watch highlights from the juniors race, even though it's the best juniors in the world, it's still a juniors race. A lot of crashing, a lot of stupid crashes.
I
love it.
The shout outs that I like to give, kind of like, because the World Championships is cool because you have every country shows up, even though it's totally weighted for the big countries to get, more starters. But third place in the U23 men's race was Jaakko Hänninen of Finland. That was really cool to see. A Finnish rider at the top level.
Yeah.
Rohan Dennis won the time trial 1:20 over Tommy Dumoulin and Victor.
Talk about bearing the lead. Congratulations, Rohan, in the country of Australia. For our Australian listeners out there, that was a big victory for them.
And then Annemiek van Vleuten did not come away empty-handed with a 30-second win in the women's time trial over Anna van den Breggen. The other big news that came out from what I saw is, I guess I haven't seen the full report of how the UCI is going to be changing rules again. Oh, yeah. Like if they've decided to ban anything new or anything like that. Or like if they're going to have a new sticker on the frame. I feel like that's something that always comes up, like, oh, it's a new sticker design this year. But they did announce Snowshoe, West Virginia, coming into the UCI Mountain Bike World Cup next year, and they're going to be hosting a downhill race as well. The downhill race, from what I understand, is going to be right after the World Championships in Mount St. Anne. I'd probably have to listen to Crosshairs Radio to get the full details on this, maybe visit his Twitter feed. But Snowshoe, West Virginia, guys, I'm just throwing this out there.
You want to start downhilling?
I've never been No, but Mountain Bike World Cup.
Yeah.
Coming to the States. West Virginia.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Old Mountain Homes, West Virginia. Take me home. Yeah, there you go.
Country roads.
I'm just throwing it out there.
All right.
We can
September.
Yeah, that sounds fine. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. Seems so into the idea.
Yeah, I'm really.
I would go.
No, it's a fine idea. I didn't want to leave Worlds quick before we got to the last race. That wasn't mentioned was the junior women's race, which was also won by a woman who had just been racing for it was her second road race. She was like a professional mountain bike racer. And had been, training for Worlds and everything, and was in great shape and all. And they were like, "Yeah, okay, you can do Road Worlds," and she crushed it and won a 3 or 4 up sprint for the victory there. That one, I didn't see that race. I only saw a clip of the finish, but everybody's saying that was the most exciting race of the weekend. Even more exciting than Valverde's win. So if you check one out, maybe go rewind the tapes and watch that one.
That's crazy. I saw this kind of late breaking. I didn't see the full details before we went to the podcast, but I think it was Cycling News was reporting that they're going to slowly over the next 4 years roll out a minimum throughout the top tier of the women's marathon, a minimum salary of 20
by 2020.
It's legit.
Yeah, by 2020 they're going to require a $38,000 or €38,000 minimum salary, which is the same as the men's.
Which is great. It's amazing. I was really impressed, and I didn't get to see. There was some way they're going to slowly roll it out, 5 teams at a time to lessen the blow or whatever.
Yeah, they're starting with 5 World Tour women's teams because they're creating the World Tour for women and continental level, obviously. So they're starting it out with 5 World Tour level women's teams that will have that minimum salary. So that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Do you think that they're going to also maybe require that races exist for women at the level that they should? I.e.,
I assume that they're working on that.
Races, please.
I wasn't at the meetings, so I don't know that much more than you. But it seems like we're moving in a good direction. This is a very good step.
True.
I think the minimum wage is huge.
It's massive.
That's gigantic because the salaries on the women's side were
not existent. They were non-existent.
Yeah, not
it's definitely non-existent a lot of time. But even people were getting paid.
There were women on pro teams that had to buy their own bikes because the team wouldn't provide them. You know what I mean? It is like amateur level professional teams. You know what I mean?
Is the secret out at this point that women's professional racing is by far the best bang for your buck that sponsors could have?
I think so.
I mean, the athletes are amazing. The race action is great. It's only going to continue to grow.
I think so. I think it is clearly the best bang for your buck. I think some of the most exciting racing out there. Not to take anything away from men's cycling. Obviously there are great races there too. But if you're sleeping on women's cycling, you're missing a lot of good stuff. And I put my money where my mouth is. Wide Angle Podium sponsors Katie Compton, with cash money, because we know, that's where the value is. That's where, the exciting racing is, and that's where we can have an impact as a small brand. So
absolutely. Well, I think that that's exciting to hear. That's some good news coming out of the World Championships in Innsbruck, Austria, and let's roll into the Preem lap, and then we got to come back and talk about Jingle Cross.
So everybody, and enjoy your Slow Ride podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Slow Ride podcast, a member of the Wide Angle Podium Network. Once again, we'd like to direct your attention to Grimper Brothers and our Wide Angle Podium Network website, so you can go and get some full Schleck blend coffee. Opportunity to wake up with some of the best coffee in your cup. And I'm pretty stoked on that. This supports the network. So it's a good way to help us out to pay for it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. Grimper, they source really high quality coffee beans. They roast them themselves right before they get packaged up and shipped out to you, so you're getting the freshest stuff. And the full Schleck is a light roast. It's a celebration of flavors. I don't know how best to describe it. I mean, if you have seen Frank climbing the Alpe d'Huez to victory with the Luxembourg jersey kind of fluttering off to the sides, you know the feeling that this, like that jolt that you feel when you see that image is what you're going to get in your cup every morning, and that's what we're going for.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been a lifesaver to me. I no longer have to just have that video on repeat in the kitchen to wake myself up in the morning. It's really changed my morning routine. It's made it a little tastier, I gotta say.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're over there buying the full Schleck blend, how about you can also pop over, get some of that Helen Wyman blend, support her too, because she just crushed a race this weekend. We will be talking about in a minute, but they've got lots of good things going on over there.
They do.
Check ours out.
They do.
Check out
and yeah, you ordered up, they roasted up, it shows up in your mailbox. It's a win-win-win. So yeah, head over to grimperbrothers.com, grab a bag of full Schleck. And we'd also like to remind you, we got a Wide Angle Podium app. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably have a podcast player of some kind, but did you know we have our own? You can find that on Apple iTunes or Apple App Store and the Google App Store. Download that. Get all the shows from Wide Angle Podium, like Crosshairs Radio, Bike Shop CX, and all the other great content. We're hoping to push a lot of new stuff through there, in the near future. So it'd be awesome if you could do that, because it's free, and then you'll know when all the shows get released.
I love the app because, Spencer, I'm not the most organized person, as you know. I had a stroke. But I like how it raises up to the top the shows that are new, the new episodes, which is pretty cool. So I think people should definitely check it out. It's the easiest way to listen to the shows and to join up the Wide Angle Podium fun.
And I know you mentioned it briefly earlier, but if folks are still on Facebook, I don't know if they are, or if they've decided their personal security and brand is more, their financial information is more worthwhile to them. But if you are still on Facebook, we do have a very exciting official Slow Ride Podcast fan experience zone group that you can join on there. A lot of chatter going on about all the racing. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of Valverde jokes and things, but yeah, I mean, if you listen to the emails we read week by week on the show, some of our listeners are, maybe better at the comedy than we are. So, you want the real stuff, head on over there and get signed up.
Cool. This is Stephen Hyde with Cannondale, cyclocrossworld.com, and you are listening to the Slow Ride Podcast. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, you guys, big news in cross this weekend. I was inspired by Rusty Woods. And I got... Okay, Tim, what?
Well, I was going to say, before we get there, we have, like we always do, we have our emails that I just want to give a quick shout out to Brandon Masterman. We got your email. We're going to be taking a deep dive into that between us. And then also wanted to give a shout out to Jeremy Spofford, who hooked us up with a quick one. He says, "Gentlemen, after hearing that you guys were looking for a replacement race ride for Schwamigan, I would like to throw Southern Cross into the ring for consideration. It is a very climby gravel race in the mountains of North Georgia, an excellent challenge for the podcast. See the link below for all the details, and you may want to take a look at the result sheet from this year, and it may inform your decision. So, of course, when you go and you check the results, who do you guys see near the top in third place finisher from last year? Expert
Michael
category.
Woods.
Yeah,
you would
must be Michael Woods. I mean, with a VO2 max like that, like who else could it be?
Yeah. Well, you would think maybe it's Christian Vanderveld.
No.
Or maybe it's Matty Boucher. But no, it's actually George Hincapie. So we may have to go to this race. Just throw it.
Like it.
It's a good suggestion. So we'd like to thank Jeremy for that one, and we'll keep it in mind. And with that, little guy, I know you're chomping at the bit.
You seem
you cut
really
me off
excited
before.
about cyclocross for some reason, and I don't understand why.
I'm super excited about cyclocross because I got super inspired by watching Michael Woods ride a third place this morning. So I went out and rode a third place. Woo! I did it. I got
a medal.
Wait a second.
Now,
I got a medal.
Little guy.
Yay! I got on a podium.
I was just going to ask. Now, did you bring your bike with you to the podium?
No,
Okay. Now, did you bring any
Did you
other
bring your-
accessories with you to the podium?
I had pants on. The other guys didn't.
Does
that count?
whoa, you had pants on? You brought
But they
podium
didn't.
pants? So you weren't wearing your kit?
I had my kit on, but I had my
Okay.
pants on afterwards because it was cold. So I left my pants on.
So that's pretty bad.
Are they cargo pants? What kind of pants are they? Jeans?
I don't-
They're like
I don't think it mattered.
my pants that I warm up in for cyclocross
They-
races. So
Oh, they're
like
cycling
craft
pants.
pants
Alaska
from like
top.
35 years ago. Yeah,
Okay.
I was on brand.
That's-
I think.
that's-
I looked super.
That should be fine.
I don't think I brought anything up, if I remember right.
A bucket?
No, I didn't bring I didn't bring anything. I just brought up my winning smile.
Well, guy,
And
I have a question. Now, a few
Okay.
years ago, when the whole Podium Bucket thing started, and people are just going to have to go back and find that episode because I don't even know where it is anymore.
that was a long
You
time
used
ago,
to you used to head to the races with something weird in your trunk, so
Yeah.
that when you got on the podium, you could bring it up. Now, the fact that you don't
I just
have anything, does that?
I'm a little disappointed
concerned.
with
Like, are you undervaluing your athletic ability here, little guy?
No, I think I'm valuing it correctly in that I very rarely get any sort of
Okay.
result anymore, especially since having a kid. So I am valuing it, yeah, just right. So it didn't even cross my mind. Truthfully, I got to admit it. I put my outfit on after racing and I rode around trying to not die.
Were you
from the
shocked
effort.
that you got third place? Like you're like, oh, I got third? Like, and then you're like, I already got my pants on. Well, I'm just going to go.
I wasn't totally shocked, but I was surprised they didn't blow up and crack
So
3/4 the way through the race. That's what
so
I
you got
thought would
third place.
happen.
Solid result in third place.
Yep.
Now, I know just a few hours south was Jingle Cross, a UCI World Cup weekend.
Yeah, kind of a
So I
smaller
would be
race than
remiss-
what I was at.
I'd be remiss
yeah.
to ask how many people were in this field?
Well, are we going by category or field? My field, the whole field, there was like 15 or 16 dudes.
16. Wow, okay. And then how many in the 1-2 category?
Well, technically, I mean, only 4, I think. But, that's because a lot of the guys just wanted that 35 plus.
Did you get
money.
third overall in the race, or did you get like,
I got
you got
third
like
over-
8th place, but you're the
No.
third one too?
I got third overall. This race last year, I got 5th overall, but I got third in my category, and that was an embarrassing podium. I didn't feel like I earned it.
Yeah.
This time, at least, I got third, and then I was third.
So-
Yeah.
All right, well, solid result. Spencer and I did not race
No.
this weekend.
Oh, it's
Guarantee you
weird.
there.
That's
Um,
weird.
I did get a good ride in.
I'm still personally I'm still recovering from Schwamigan from the massive effort I put out there to win, based on 2 disqualifications on you guys' part.
Oh, it
So-
took an extra big effort.
Yeah.
So
Let's get into.
was
Let's
there
get
some
into
sort
it.
of race? Some sort
Let's
of big
get it-
race this weekend
Okay.
in Cross?
Yes, we already know the answer. It's Jingle Cross, right?
Oh, Jingle Cross.
Like, look, I'm not playing this game anymore. Jingle Cross. Here's my
Wait.
question for you. Wout Van Aert, looking okay in the black shorts. He's got the World Championship stripes,
yeah.
but wasn't racing like a World champion this
I
weekend.
mean, he's there, but Toon is just on a... Toon's
Toon?
good right now.
Toon Aerts with the win in the men's Jingle Cross race on Saturday. Kind of a muddy field, but I want to get back to that. I want to get back to the men's race in a minute because the story of the weekend, as far as I'm concerned, American Katie Keough taking the win in the Women's World Cup. Fantastic. I mean, we've known Katie Keough, watched her race for about a dozen years at this point, from when we first went to Planet Bike Cup in Madison was kind of the first time I had ever seen her race live and in person. Always been strong. I think that there's definitely Ellen Noble's second place at Trek was like the highlight, and I almost admittedly kind of forgot about Katie Keough because the focus was on Ellen Noble's great win. And then Katie Keough just absolutely slays it in the mud. And it was so much fun to watch. And I was like, oh my God, we have 3 of the best women in cyclocross are from the United States right now. Like, that is so awesome to see. So major props to Katie Keough for the win in Iowa City.
Yeah, that was a great race too. And it was really good to watch after all the years we went and raced muddy late season Jingle Crosses. And then the last few years since it's been a World Cup, it's been fast and dry and hot. And that's not Jingle Cross. That's not what Jingle Cross is supposed to be. And this, I mean, obviously we didn't have the snow and cold and all that jazz, but at least it was muddy, slippery. You got to watch all the riders grind up those brutal climbs at like 3 miles an hour like you're supposed to. You're not supposed to go fast up those climbs. You're supposed to barely make it up. And watching them, like, watching in that women's race when, like, first lap or two or whatever, Vos, like, elected to run and just open up a huge gap on folks that were trying to ride and were just eating it. It was great. It was such great racing. It was awesome.
I didn't know, like, I didn't watch it live. I watched the women's on tape delay, but I didn't know who won. Like, I watched the whole race. Did they race before the men or after?
They raced after.
After.
So they got after. So 2 weeks in a row of the women being the marquee race.
I think that's the whole season, isn't it? For World Cups? Or are they just doing it in the U.S. ones? Like that? I don't know. I guess we probably should listen to Cyclocross Radio for that answer. Yeah, but we'll figure that out. But anyway,
I will say that the course was definitely deteriorating by the time the women got to the race. But Marianne Vos.
Well, it poured rain between the 2 races. Like, the men's race finished, and then it started pouring rain as the women were staging for about 5 minutes, and then it stopped raining. So everything was just nice and wet and greasy, and nobody had any chance to pre-ride any of it in those conditions. So
which is awesome.
It made for a ridiculous start to the race. But yeah, like, great racing from the gun. Marianne Vos looking awesome. Eva Lechner looking awesome. You know, all the big hitters were there. Sophie DeBoer looking awesome. Like, it's been a little while. Like, you kind of forget that she is really good at cyclocross when she's focused.
She was starting second row. Starting second row. Pointed out by Douglas Sniper that she was almost going with the full Schleck because of the heat was starting up on the race, right? Like, it seemed that there was like an overcorrection for the rain, and then
that was part of the chaos. Happened. Was like everybody was trying to decide on the start line, like, do I have the right tires? Do I have the right gloves? Do I need a jacket? Like, what? Like, everybody's freaking out because it was pouring rain, and then it stopped. So yeah.
Marianne Vos, and then Evie Richards takes second place.
That was amazing.
And then Katie Keough with the victory. I mean, it was pretty cool to see Katie Keough win. So do you guys have anything else to add on the women's race before we get into Toon Arts' victory on the men's side?
No,
but just definitely go back and
watch it. I think that
we should give a shout out to Sammy Reynolds' teeth because she knocked at least one of them out during the race.
Oh, really? I heard she crashed.
I'm not sure exactly the details of this, but a spectator picked up her tooth and saved it for her. So it did get put back in, and she's a mouthful of pearly whites again. So
she put a picture up on with the dentist, like it was immediate, like right after the race that she went there, and she
finished the race, knocked her tooth out. She was like top 20, like 18th, 19th, something like that. Knocked her tooth out, finished the race in like 30th or so, and then went straight to the dentist chair and got patched up.
So the men's race takes a start line. I watched this and I found myself yelling at my TV screen about 10 seconds into the start of the coverage when the men were on the start line, and whoever was the American camera operator wasn't zooming in on the tires. Like, my favorite thing about cyclocross start line is I want to see the face, I want to see the name underneath, and then I want to see the quick pan down to see what the tire tread looks like. And they got like 6 people in before the guy probably got like an alert in his like headphones, like, look at the tires. Then finally looked down at the tires. But anyways, Wout van Aert looking
they
kind of resplendent.
They showed us Toon Aerts's tires and they showed us Wout's tires, and I think at the end of the day, those are the only ones we needed to see.
Yeah, but I still wanted to see more than just those two. And Toon Aerts takes the win over Wout van Aert, and Michael Van Turnhout in third place, and then a solid 16th place for Mathieu Boulot of France. Now, I was a little, at first, I'm not as tuned to the game as you guys are with all my travel. I was like, where is Stephen Hyde? Like, he should be in the first two rows. And then right away, Tim Johnson gives the news on the coverage that he's actually out for a while because he broke his sternum at Planet Bike Cup the previous week. So in Madison. So that's very unfortunate, and I was really bummed to hear that. But once again, it was a Belgium-Netherlands show with the top 13th places represented by those two countries.
Yeah. Bit of a stranglehold on the sport.
Totally. Yes, and that stranglehold continues. But it came down to the course once again. I mean, for people that have never been out there, this course is hard. It is difficult. Mm-hmm. There's a ridiculous climb that they go up 3 times. There are some crazy descents down the climbs, off cambers. I saw Lars van der Haar lose about 5 spots on one time down the descent when he was trying to run it while others were riding it. Crazy course. But the big takeaway for me is about Van Aert. I mean, he just did he almost face plant? Did he go off the over endo, or did he just kind of have to ditch off the bike on the big off camber into Mount Crumpet?
I didn't know if he hit his face.
That's where the separation happened. I think he just planted himself on the top tube a little bit there, and maybe lost the wind for a few pedal strokes.
He shouldn't have taken a tip from Chris Horner circa 2011 on the start line and just have a bunch of foam on your top tube and your stem. Yeah. And just because you're maybe not the best bike handler.
The top American, 21st place to Gage Hecht, who was actually in the kind of up front for a little while there. The first 2 laps, you could see he was in the around the top 13, 14th position. So pretty cool to see. Overall, I thought the coverage, once again, good. So congratulations to Toon Aert, 2 for 2. Is he going to win the World Cup overall in cyclocross this season?
That's hard to say because at some point Vanderpool.
Yeah.
I don't know what's Vanderpool doing.
He's actually taking a break because he's not a robot.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I don't know. I mean, Vanderpool could literally come back and win the rest of them.
Yeah.
And
Toon is looking very good, and Wout looks like it's early season. You know what I mean? But he's still obviously better than the rest of the field. I think Toon is playing it pretty smart, knowing, he probably looked at how things were shaking out and was like, you know what? Vanderpool's not going to be here for a couple weeks for sure, and Wout probably is focused on the end of the season, so I should shoot my shot now. And he was certainly ready for it and went for it. And got 2 wins early on, so good for him.
And cyclocross is continuing across the board, so very excited for the upcoming season. Man, I'm looking forward to it, especially if Toon can hold on. It'd be pretty cool. Maybe Kevin Powell's guys comes out of nowhere and just starts.
Tim, would you say the way Toon is riding is like music to your ears? All right. That's what I thought maybe you were getting at.
Yeah. So it's going to be... yeah, it's going to get stuck in my head now. So I want to end the podcast with a quick shout out. Well, we like the strange things on the show, right? We like Klein bicycles. We like all different types of goofiness. And it behooves us. We need to give the shout out to Denise Mueller-Kornick, 45-year-old American who rode her bike 183.9 miles per hour to break the world record in speed. That is insane.
It is very much insane.
There's some good videos on YouTube of the whole setup. The tow, it's basically a really high-speed Kieran that goes forever. And she's basically placed behind like a dragster, I guess, like with a giant fairing.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. Spencer, when are you going to take on the world speed record challenge?
On a bicycle?
Yes.
I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. My plans.
Check your schedule.
We've got a long view right now. We're doing the research. I've got a team kind of crunching the numbers to see what we can do. Because her setup was pretty airtight, and whether I just have to
literally
add another cog on the chain ring and just keep the same cadence and go another 100 feet or something, that might be how I have to do it. But
I mean, her bike was insane. Yeah. Do you think you could put together a bike like that? I know little guy could. He's probably already got all the parts from like a washing machine or something. But whereas like you and I, Spencer, like,
I'd be in trouble. Yeah.
So the I guess the fastest I've ever gone on a bike, this is where I want to end. The fastest I've ever gone on a bike is maybe 40 miles an hour, maybe.
Damn.
And you guys know me descending.
You haven't gone faster than that?
You've definitely gone faster than that.
I don't know. Like in a car? I don't
remember that.
Like,
remember that
guys,
team
I
ride?
am pretty slow going down.
You are
hill,
very.
Man.
I
remember that. Yeah. But
I get the speed wobbles at 28 miles an hour.
I think,
I'm like, whoa.
I think
brakes.
Tim, your top speed definitely did not, like most people, it did not come on a downhill. You know what I mean? I think your top speed probably came during your 2006 Cat 3 State Curing Championship in Minnesota.
Maybe behind the moto, like when I was coming.
Probably hit 40 something miles an hour then in the sprint for sure.
I was thinking Tim's top speed was that we went on a team ride years ago, and there was you, me, Spencer, Tim, a couple of us, and there was a descent where there was a couple turns, and we dropped Tim on the turns, and we of course looked at each other and said, "Well, let's drop him for real."
Oh yeah,
and we got in a pace line, and Tim caught back on the flat, like the straight part into the flat afterwards. So maybe that could have been his fastest speed because he caught like 5 of us there.
I mean, how fast have you ever gone, little guy?
I don't know. I often don't have a computer on, but I'm sure I've gone fast. I used to have a computer, and I've definitely gone 40 on like hills around here, and when I've been in like the mountains, like when I was in Utah with Spencer, or when I was in probably when I was descending in Mount Lemmon in Tucson. That was probably when I went the fastest. That definitely felt way faster than anything I've done around here. And I was definitely holding back because I was all alone. And I probably didn't even have a cell phone with me. And if I would have messed up, it would have been bad news. Yeah. But I was, and it was like, but it still was just crazy fast.
So would you say 50 miles an hour? Like maybe that was your,
at least
your feel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Spencer, kind of the same range?
I think 50.1 or 0.2 is the top for me.
And then, so multiply that by like 3.5, and you're just getting to the speed that she was at. Like,
it's insane.
Quantify that to me, like the speed wobbles would have to be insane. I know she's behind like a fairing, and
well, if she got out of that fairing, the crazy thing was like if she got out of that bubble she was in, she would get crazy speed wobbles, and she would just crash. Like there was like no way to not just crash.
And the attachment that she had on the front of the bike to like
she like couldn't lose the wheel. That it's a whole new meaning. Like it's not like you're just gonna get dropped. You lose the wheel, you're gonna crash at 150 miles an hour or something.
This is insane. Like, take a look at this. Like, just Google it. NPR did a big story on it. Wall Street Journal. I mean, this thing's all over. It's worth it, and she deserves a lot of credit for this. And
it's crazy.
Wow. Anyways,
it's good.
With that, I would like to thank all the listeners of the Wide Angle Podium Network and the supporters. Head to wideanglepodium.com to find out more. You can also head over to wideanglepodium.com to order your Grimper Brothers Full Schleck Blend coffee, or you can just go to bit.ly/WAP Beans. I'd like to thank BK1 of Rhymesters Entertainment for the intro and outro music. And this is Tim, the 2018 Schwamigan winner, asterisk, in Orlando, Florida.
This is Matt, Daddy Shark, once a baby shark in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
And this is Spencer, No Nicknames How in Boston, Massachusetts, reminding you to always wave at all your fellow cyclists that you see out on the road.
The Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod.
Baby Shark. So you know the Baby Shark song, right?
I don't know the Baby Shark song.
The first verse is
shark,
shark, baby shark, baby shark, baby shark, and then you just do whatever forever.
And then you're like, Daddy shark, daddy shark. It's kind of like This Is
Daddy
Dad
shark,
Corner.
shark, daddy shark. Or you do it like this. You go, Michael Woods, Michael Woods, Michael Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Rusty Woods.
I see.
Like that. It works for anything.
So can you do something about Vincenzo Nibali being a shark?
Yeah, Vincenzo Nibali's a shark. Vincenzo's a shark. He's the shark of Messina, I think. Vincenzo,
I like it.
shark.
I'm into it.